All right. Well, hello there. Hello there. Come on in and join me for today's parenting tip. If you are joining me here live today, when you come in right above my head, you will probably see a link that says streamyard.com/Facebook. And if you could click that link, that allows you to connect with me here on StreamYard and let me know you are here. Introduce yourself. Let me know where you're coming in from today and give me hashtag live. Let me know where you're checking in from today. And if you are joining me on the replay, comment hashtag replay so I know that you are visiting me here today. So come on in and let's talk today about routines and schedules. So I know in a lot of areas, some kids are already back to school, some kids are getting ready to go back to school. And last year, schedules were a little off with COVID and learning from home. And, we just kind of lost track of those routines and schedules. But this is so important to having consistency in our parenting. But why is this so important, right? Because we all need routines and schedules. Basically, it just maps out what our boundaries are, what the expectations are. It actually brings security to our kids because they will then know what to expect. And it's going to reduce just a lot of stress and anxiety for us and our kids. Now, will we always be able to stick to a schedule? No. There are days where we're going to need to be flexible with it. We had a rough night, the kids were up, someone was sick. And so, we're not always going to be able to stick to our schedule, but it's so important that if we do break the schedule, we get back on it as soon as possible. We need to get back into the routine and back into the schedule. So time of day. So time of day. What are the most challenging times of day to manage the schedule? And if you are here with me, let me know, join in with me. What is the most challenging time of day for you? And with most of the parents that I work with, I find it's usually morning routines and evening routines. So let's start here and engage a little bit about what is going on with our different morning and afternoon routines. So morning, I find, tends to be the most challenging, putting together a morning schedule. And if you are parenting, let's say preschool or younger, comment with me here, hashtag preschool. And that lets me know who's joining me here today. But, when my kids were younger, I tend to let them sleep until they would wake up naturally. But then we want to have a predictable morning. So after they wake up, we have our breakfast, we brush our teeth, the kids get dressed. Maybe we have a morning activity. We're going to the park or we're engaging in play at home. Then maybe there's snack, and then we have a lunch. And then we have a rest time in the afternoon. Our younger kids definitely need some downtime. And rest time can consist of, sometimes kids are taking a nap, sometimes they're not, but they should still have what we would call either bedroom time or quiet time, or maybe they're just sitting in their room and they're looking at books and they just have some chill time. Now, if you are parenting school age kids, comment for me, hashtag school age kids. And this routine here tends to need to be a little bit tighter. So if you are parenting the school age kids, what I like to recommend is get the kids in on establishing what this morning schedule and routine will be by including them in the family meeting. So rather than just dictating and saying, you need to get up at this time, you need to have breakfast at this time, sit down and discuss it. Because I find that when we collaborate with our kids, when they have a voice at the table, they're a little less resistant with the boundaries because they felt as though they have a voice. So I really like to help include the kids and establish those morning and evening routines by including them into a family meeting. And this can be done during a mealtime, and when we're just kind of in a casual opportunity to discuss about it. But really, set the boundaries and expectations by establishing that routine. This includes bedtime, maybe even shower schedules if you have more than one kid in the house. This way, we're not dealing with the conflict and all the chaos. So the first thing let's talk about is time to wake up. What time do they need to get up? I know parents struggle with getting those kids up for school. Well, let me tell you, they need to start being responsible and managing their own time. So I'm going to say you need to get an alarm clock and set the alarm clock. Yep, I know we're kicking it old school, but we need to get them alarm clocks. It's been highly recommended by doctors and psychologists that we do not have digital devices in the room. And I know sometimes the kids want to use it because, well, it's got my alarm on it. But you know what? We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But set alarms, kick it old school. In your meeting, establish what time breakfast is going to be. So whether you're working in the home or you're working outside the home, but with our kids still need to know that we have a schedule. So basically, you could let them know, breakfast is going to be served from 7:15 to 7:30. Now, again, a lot of this with our school age kids can be determined through our family meeting. The bus leaves at 7:40. Now, I'm just making up times because your schedule can be different. But sometimes the bus is even you, because like I was the bus driver, I was part of a carpool, I was a carpool mom, and it was very important that my kids knew we had established timelines. What time they get up, what time breakfast was served, brush your teeth, what time we need to be in the car, okay? And if you find that your kids are not getting up, they're not getting ready on time, then we may need to make some adjustments to the routine. Sometimes kids just need more time. Some kids can get up and get ready. Some of them are a little pokier. Your kids, the routine. So maybe we may need to adjust that schedule where they're getting up a little earlier, or they need to go to bed a little earlier. And it's also best to keep a digital-free morning. So in other words, no digital time until they are actually ready, dressed, teeth brushed, and ready to go to school. Do they pick up their phones? Because that digital time in the morning is a distraction, and we can end up in conflict, and it can throw off that whole morning routine. Now, after school and evenings can also be a little hectic with the schedule too. So between after school activities, we got homework, we got dinner, I knew that time of day was really a hot mess. So let's break this down a little bit. After school, some kids come home right away. Some kids stay for activities, depending upon what's going on. So what we want to do is maybe give the kids a choice on when they want to do your homework. Do you want to get your homework done before dinner, or you want to do it after dinner? You choose, you decide. So give them some choices in that. But then we need to actually make sure we're following through and they're actually doing what they say. And also dinner time. Family meal time is so important. Can I get hashtag family meal time or family dinner? Let's do it. Hashtag family dinner. Family dinners are so important, and something I feel in our busy lifestyles and our distracted lifestyles that we get away from it. It is so important if you can maintain a family mealtime. Basically, it's time to reconnect about our day. You talking about your day, they talk about their day. Keep it a digital-free zone. We need to be able to connect and communicate with our kids. Talk, listen, read their body language to just really establish on how they're doing. And then we get to after dinner. Now, after dinner starts to get a little hectic. People are getting tired, getting a little cranky. If you are parenting the preschool and younger kids, again, we need a predictable routine after dinner. So maybe there's an established time for bath time. What we have for bath time. Then we have a story time. How many stories do we read? And then we go into bed time or bedroom time. And again, I call it bedroom time because not all kids just want to go to bed and go to sleep. But if it's a time that they need to be powering down and they're in their rooms, maybe they can be in their bed, maybe they can look at a couple of books, but it is that bedroom time that we establish. Not that they can just lay down, shut their eyes and be out, but sometimes they just need that quiet time. And they can have a couple of books just to chill out. Routines are the best, I'm telling you. It sets boundaries and sets expectations. Now, if you've got school-age kids, bedroom time. Let's talk about this, their bedtime. Digital devices need to power down at least 45 minutes before bedtime, because if not, their brain is still stimulated and still wired, and it's hard for them to power down, okay? Doctors recommend there is no screen time in the bedroom, no digital time in the bedroom. Digital devices should be plugged in to be charged in a central location overnight, and they can be picked up again in the morning after they are ready for school. Now, I know some of you may not have established those boundaries, and you might get some kickback when it happens, but set the boundaries, follow up and follow through. Because let me tell you, the digital distraction is, number one, going to be an argument in the evening, and it's going to probably cause our kids to be late. Now, this is what I say with my kids, okay? I'll allow you to check your phone after you're ready for school. Not that they can't have the phone, but in other words, they need to be up, breakfast, teeth brushed, ready to go, getting ready to get on the bus, either in the car or on the bus, then they can have their phone back. Because if not, they're in their phone, it's in their face, and then we totally lost it. So set those boundaries with that time. And again, let's talk about the mealtime. So we talk about dinner and we talk about routines. But, a lot of times as moms, we struggle with mealtime and planning. And so just let me share with you a suggestion. And you may have heard this before as a suggestion, but take action on this suggestion and make this happen for you. So think about this. Plan a number of meals for the week, whatever it's going to be, whether it's tacos, spaghettis, a chicken dish, whatever it is that you're going to make. And make sure that you have shopped and you have all those ingredients in the house, okay? Then you can make a list on your refrigerator of all of the meals that you have purchased for, so that when you're looking, you see, I've got the ingredients to make this recipe. Put that list on the door and then cross them out as you prepare them, so you know what you got left to prepare. This way, you are ready with healthy choices for the family. You're not scrambling to try and figure out what to make or grabbing food at the drive-thru, as I had done on occasions when I did not plan, okay? And then I start to feel the guilt because I'm eating the fast food and I'm feeding my kids the fast food, and that's never a good thing. So really, routines and schedules are an important part of parenting. It's in setting the consistent boundaries and the expectations. It's going to reduce the stress for you. It's going to reduce the stress for yourself and for your children. And Carol, oh my gosh, I'm so glad to see you here. So that's a hard one to keep going. I'm not quite sure which one I was talking about. I'm just now seeing the notice. And yes, I've noticed that one action makes a huge difference. And we do. A lot of times when we're planning and we have ideas and changes or transformation that we want to make, and that's what's part of the blueprint, is we become aware. It's the first thing. It's aware. It's aware that I need a schedule. It's aware that I need to have a routine. But then I need to adapt. I need to adapt. What do I need to put together in my routine? What are the boundaries that I want to set? And the next part is doing what? Applying. So applying what we said, setting those boundaries and follow through. And so Carol, you must have been talking about the pushback and replaced it with more reading. And that was digital time. If you replace digital time with reading, I think that's excellent. Sometimes with kids, they're so into their screens and they might want to say that they're reading. Another thing I always suggest with even the school age kids that are younger, even if they're not reading, maybe you can read even chapter books with them. So again, we're engaging in a story. It's a time to connect. So certainly things that we can do. And Carol, I think you were talking about the dinner's a hard one to keep going. I really valued and appreciated the dinner time that I had with my kids because it was an opportunity to connect. But as they started getting more active in their after school activities, so whether it was sport or whether it was dance or, Kyle was in with, computer club and those types of things, it got a little fragmented and it was a lot harder. And so I would always prepare a meal and then I have plates for the kids when they got home. But it's so important to find that opportunity to connect. So they truly are an important part of parenting, setting consistent boundaries and expectations, reducing the stress and the potential conflict with our kids because we've already established what those boundaries are. So if you could, below in the comments, share with me what successful strategies you have as it pertains to routines and schedules, because these are things, here in the community that we can share amongst each other. What has worked for you? Because what has worked in scheduling with my kids and the activities that they were involved may be different for another parent. And so share with me the successful strategies as it pertains to routines and schedules that have reduced your stress, okay, and kept your kids on track. And post those below with your information. I'd love to hear you share your ideas. This parenting thing is hard, but I find that when we set up our predictable boundaries and standards, our kids will start to feel more comfortable. They know the expectation. Our kids, there's security in that. When our kids feel the security of knowing what to expect, it's when they don't know what to do next that things get to be a little chaotic. And so thank you for joining me here on this parenting tip. Of course, you can join me for more parenting tips in the Parent by Design Facebook group. You can click under guides and that's where all of those will be stored. I really appreciate you joining me today, Carol. It was great to have you join me. And so we got this. Let's enjoy this parenting journey. I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.